Hello, students. It's Dr. Sansom again. I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to talk to you about study groups. The thing about study groups is they can be great when they're great, and they can also be a waste of time. So, we're going to start with why we would want a study group in the first place. And this is because two minds are better than one. Just for a quick test of this, take a minute, time yourself 1 minute, and I want you to write down the names of all of the cars that you know that have the same name as an animal. I'll give you an example. This is like a Ford Pinto. A Pinto is a kind of horse. And so that is a car that has the name of an animal. So take a minute and do that on your own. Now that you've got your list, I want you to find a friend and ask them to do exactly the same thing. And then when they're done, I want you to see if you came up with the same things or if you came up with some different things. Chances are you guys came up with different things because you're familiar with different things. You think about things a different way. And so actually working together, you have more information and more knowledge to work from, to pool together when you work with a group. And that's the big advantage of a study group. A study group allows you to, you're going to have strengths and weaknesses. Other people have strengths and weaknesses. If you find people where those complement each other, you're going to come out better for having worked with them. So the thing where study groups can be dangerous, of course, is if your study group is like more interested in watching TV or like what snacks they're going to eat during studying time or like who they're going to date in their study group or whatever other things they might be thinking about. You need a study group that's focused and driven and helpful. And so how do we find those people? In your class, it's possible that you're going to be already working with a group. For example, your teacher may have you talking to the people next to you in the lecture hall, or you may have groups that you work with during recitation. That can be a natural start to a study group. If those people are helpful and smart and hardworking and focused, then like those are the people to be in your study group. If you don't have an existing structure like that in your course, then think about in class, who are the people that are asking questions? Who are the people that are sitting in the front of the room, that are paying attention, that are working hard, that are trying to understand? Think of the people who are helpful to the people around them. Maybe if someone next to them has a question, they'll like help them on the side a little bit during class. Try to find those people who are both really smart, like they're going to be the A students, and also like have a natural inclination to be helpful or kind. Don't find the people who are like the hyper competitive ones. You don't need to hang out with them. They're not going to help you, and it will be demoralizing. So just don't do it. Okay. So that's the first thing. Look for the people who are smart, who are helpful. Those are the people you want in your group. Now, I also want to address an issue that might happen. You may be the one who's smarter than the people in your study group, and that's actually totally okay. And the reason is when you explain something or teach something to somebody else, it's going to reinforce that knowledge in your own mind. It's going to strengthen all of those neural connections that you've created, and it's going to help you do better than you would have done without explaining it, even though you already might be successful and doing well in your course. Now, the next thing is you want to have a plan. So this is what are you going to do during your study group? You want to make sure that you have a plan, something specific that you're asking everyone to do that's going to contribute to the group. For example, let's say you're studying before an exam. There's a study guide. The study guide has 4 sections. Then you have 4 people in your study group, and you ask each person to go through one section of the study guide and to highlight those concepts that they think are going to be the most challenging and identify practice problems that you can do that will help you with those concepts, or create a writing prompt that you would use for those concepts. That kind of thing, a very specific ask that you're going to ask people to come prepared. Now, when you come to your study group, you've got all of those questions that you can talk about together. You've got the prompts that you can work on together. You have a way of interacting productively about the content in the course. That's just one example, and it could be that this is there's a problem set that's due, so you ask everyone before you come to our study group, try and do all of the problems, And that way everyone will have attempted them before you get together, and some people will know how to do these ones and some people will know how to do the other ones, and together you'll be able to figure it all out. So, but have a specific thing that you're asking people to do. Try out different things, see what works for you, what's helpful, what works for your group. If you have somebody that's like not really contributing, they're just coming and hanging out with you guys, you don't have to let them keep coming. I'm not saying you should exclude them necessarily, because maybe they really need your help. But if they're like not contributing and not helping your study group, they're not necessarily the person that you want to engage with. You want the people who are dedicated, who are going to get things done, who are going to be helpful, and where you also can contribute the things that you know how to do. Okay. Now, where and when are you going to meet with these people? The when you have to work out with your people. Schedules are always tricky, but evenings tend to work better, or weekends. Try to find a time that works for everyone. In terms of where you can meet, there's often places in the library, like private study rooms that you can reserve. Or there can be private study rooms that you can just go use if no one's using them. Things like that can exist also within dorms or housing, like a public area where you might be able to get together and study. But you want to be careful that it's not also, for example, like the public area where people go to like hang out or whatever, so that it's not going to be super distracting. And the same thing exists within academic buildings on campus that are often open. I know the building where I work in, the chemistry building, is open until like 11 o'clock, I think, at night, 10 or 11 at night. And we have several spaces that are intended for students who are studying. There's, in the evenings, there's going to be open classrooms that you can use. Some of them have boards all along the wall. You can work out all of your problems on the board together, So look for that place that's going to make sense for you, that's going to be convenient, and that's going to be a place where you can focus. In summary, study groups are great when they're great, and they can also be a waste of time. So be careful about who you're inviting to your study group and how you structure that time so that it can be productive. If you want to take the lead and be, come up with a plan for what to do, that's awesome. If someone else in your group wants to do that, that's awesome too. If you want to make it a democracy and say, let's all decide what we're going to do before we meet next time, that's also awesome. So figure out what's going to be productive for you and what's going to be helpful. And then look for those people who are helpful people and who are smart and engaged in the class. And with this in mind, you have multiple minds working on the same thing, and you're going to be better off for it. I hope that's helpful, and I hope you have a great day.